Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Guy Jeans, and today I'm answering 10 more common fly fishing questions that I get here on this channel. So stay tuned. All right, so question number one. These are questions that I get all the time, so I'm excited to talk to you guys about them. Question number one is, Guy, I heard the Kern isn't a great fishery because there's so many rafters and tubers. Well, let's answer that question. You know, the rafting companies are usually going full swing in the summertime. So the springtime, the late spring, when the spring runoff from the snow melt goes, and that's usually in a certain section. So there's certain sections of the Kern where they have rafting and tubing. And so the spring through the summer on the Upper Kern, and it just depends on the snow melt. So that's just something that you guys will experience in the summertime. And then people camping in July, August, and part of September, you're going to see people going down in certain sections on the Kern River. Above the Johnsondale Bridge, or even in sections where they don't tube, there's 50 miles of water that people don't tube and come down the river. So you can check those sections out above the Johnsondale Bridge and into the Golden Trout Wilderness. All right, so question number two. Guy, I monitor a couple of fishing reports, and most of the time, the one coming from the fly fishing community in Bakersfield says the fishing sucks and there's some sort of doom and gloom going on with the river. Which report is most accurate? I think I know which report you're talking about, and unfortunately the person that writes that report only fishes on the Kern maybe once every other month, and so they're not really on the river and have a really good feel for what's going on in the river, and when they do come up and fish, they're only fishing like one section and they're not really exploring the whole river, and they're not on the water every day. One of the key benefits of being a fly fishing guide on the river, or having guides that work at the shop, or people that are actually fishing on the river every single day, is that we know what's going on with the river at all times, every single day. And the hatches, to the flows, to the water clarity, to where they're stocking it, if you're into stock fish, that sort of thing. So yeah, I would definitely go with the fishing report where the people are actually on the water every single day. All right, question number three. Guy, I have been on the Kern and never seen a hatch. When is the best time to fish when there's a hatch? Okay, so that's a good question. I've been guiding on the Kern for 23 years, and there's sporadic hatches that go up and down the Upper Kern River. So sometimes it's unbelievable, and there's great hatches, blue-wing olives, yellow sallies, stoneflies, caddis hatches going on. And so it just depends on the time of year that you come up. And that's one of the things I hear all the time is people come up to the Kern and they only come up, they've been fishing the river for 40 years, but they come up once a year for 40 years. So they only see, maybe 2 days or so of the Kern every single year, and they may not ever see a hatch if they're only coming up 2 times a year. If you guys have any other questions, make sure to put those questions in the comments below. I'm going to try to do these every couple weeks and answer questions for you guys. So make sure to put those questions or comments down in the comment section below, and let's get to it. Okay, number 4. Guy, what is the best fly to use on the Lower Kern for bass? So that's a great question in that it can change from time to time, but if I was to choose one fly, it would probably be a chartreuse and white clouser, about a size 6, and use that with a sinking leader and get that down into some of those deeper holes. That's probably the one fly that works probably the best year-round down there. Other flies might be a white game changer in that same size. So yeah, I would use a chartreuse and white clouser size 6. Number 5. What is the best temperature to fish for Lower Kern and Upper Kern for trout and bass. All right, well, let's start with the Lower Kern. So I have found, personally have found, that the Lower Kern fishes best when water temperatures are above 50 degrees, and that's for bass. You can catch trout down on the Lower Kern in lower temperatures, and I've seen that happen year after year after year. But if you're just targeting bass in the Lower Kern, that 50 degree and warmer is a little bit better. Trout on the Upper Kern, once we get into those 30 degree temperatures for rainbow trout, things really slow down. So in that 50 to 60 degree temperature range on the Upper Kern is key, is best. Can you catch fish in those other degrees? Can you catch fish in the low 40s, in the 30s? Yeah, it's just going to be a little bit slower. Are you going to be able to catch fish above 60 degrees? Yes, you can. You start getting into that 70 degree temperature range, and that's really hard on rainbow trout if you're doing catch and release. That really stresses the fish out if you're putting them back, if you're catching them in that 70 plus degree water temperatures for sure. For 6, another really great question. Where should I fish on the Upper Kern? So a great question, and that depends on what kind of experience you might want. So if you want to have an experience where you're fishing for wild trout, you want to go above the Johnsondale Bridge, and that goes up 50 miles, and that goes all the way up into the golden trout wilderness, and you can catch Kern River rainbows, which a lot of people are after, and that's a lot of fun. If you want to catch hatchery fish and stock fish and wild fish, you can fish from the Johnsondale Bridge down to Kernville, and that's a whole section that's roadside, so you can fish in that section and have a great time as well. And there's lots of wild Kern River rainbows in that section as well, which a lot of people don't know. Number 7, do I need waders to fish on the Kern? Different times of the year, absolutely. I think you do. If the water temperature is down in the 40s and 50s and even low 60s, though it's a pretty chilly water, and having waders and having some fleece underneath those waders are going to make it a lot better for you to be comfortable for sure. In the summertime, no. Summertime it's hot. Sometimes we get 100 degree air temperatures, and so we'll just wear our trunks and some wading boots and be super comfortable that way. Okay, number 8. This is a very common question, not just on the Kern, but on a lot of streams and rivers and stuff. But people think that you can't fly fish when you have trees or obstructions behind you, and you need a lot of room and that sort of thing. And that's not true. You can do a cast called a roll cast, and that's where you put the line just slightly behind you, and then you roll it out. I use this all the time. My clients use this all the time, and it's a really effective cast. Go to my guide to fly fishing and scroll down and look at the how to do a roll cast video, and you can see what it looks like. Number 9, guy, should I hire a fishing guide to fish the Kern? So that's a great question, in that a lot of people come up to the Kern and they try to figure it out on their own, and which is fine. A lot of people go out and they do figure it out. And the one question I hear the most when people come into the Kern is, where are all the fish at? I've been fishing for 2 days and I haven't caught a fish. And everybody else that I talk to is having a really good time and catching a lot of fish. So yeah, I would say, hire a guide for half a day and just see how the guides use their flies and their techniques and how they rig everything, and also where the fish are on the Kern. They can be in different areas and that sort of thing, maybe a little bit different than the Owens River or any other stream that you might be fishing. So that's a great idea. A great tip is definitely hire a guide for a half day. Whatever stream you go to, whatever place you go to across the United States, hire a guide for a half day and get bumped up to that level of knowing what's going on that fishery. All right, number 10. Guy, I've been fishing the Kern for 40 years and I always use a grasshopper and I always catch fish. Do you really need any other fly? I love that one. So somebody who's been fishing the Kern, I was talking about this earlier, some people come up to the Kern and they fish every July 4th or summertime, or just kind of in the, September time frame, when grasshoppers are hatching on the Kern. And so they will use a grasshopper and do really well. If you come up in January and February, March, April, and May, if you try to use a grasshopper on the Kern, it's probably not going to work all that great. So using, what's hatching at that time or what's in the river at that time is probably going to catch more fish or give you a better advantage to catching more fish, matching the hatch at that time. But I hear that all the time where people come up or here's a scenario. So somebody will come up to the shop in February and they'll go up to the bins and they'll grab a bunch of grasshoppers and throw them on the counter. And, whoever's working in the shop or myself, where are you going fishing at? No, I always fish grasshoppers when I'm up here on the Kern. And I go, well, right now, they're not eating grasshoppers. They're eating small little nymphs, the ones that are underneath the water. Oh, that's not true. I'll catch a lot of fish with these grasshoppers. And I just go, okay. And they'll go out and then they'll come back and go, man, no fish are biting this time when I'm up here. I always use grasshoppers and they work really good. So you see what I'm saying. So there's 10 more questions answered about the legendary Kern River. I'm going to answer another 10 in a couple weeks, so stay tuned for those. I may do these every week, I don't know. But I'm just answering questions. Make sure to put your comments and questions in the comments below, and I'll add them to my questions for the next time. And I really appreciate it, you guys. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And I will see you guys next time here on the Kern River Fly Shop YouTube channel.
And even if my pocket's empty, I don't really want to go to work. No. It is so sweet under the sun. I'm gonna take my time, 'cause I don't really